Raster layers demystified. Hi there, in this video we'll learn about one core layer in Photoshop, raster layers. We'll discuss what they are, what they're used for, how you can identify them, and so on. This is closely related to the next video, shape layers, which are vectors, so please watch that immediately after to get the full picture. Right, let's get to it. First of all, you have to know that Photoshop works mostly with raster graphics. That means images that are made up from a certain number of pixels. You may have experienced this when you went up close to a TV set and you saw a dot represented a color. Thousands or millions of dots make up an image. You can also see that if you zoom in really close. In this case, I'm at 3,200%, which is crazy close. As you can see, there's some sort of grid that's made up by lots of squares or pixels. Each contains a solid color. When you add lots of them together, you get a nice image. This is why 4K is so desired right now, because it contains more pixels, which translates into a better, clearer image. Raster layers are the bread and butter of Photoshop. This is what the program uses the most, and this is the layer you create when you click on this small icon here. So every time you need a new layer, Photoshop will automatically give you another raster layer. You recognize them in two ways. 1. By looking at their thumbnail in the Layers panel, you'll see they have no particular symbol. It's just a simple thumbnail, and it can look like this or like this. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing. These small images aim to give you a representation of your layer. This is why this thumbnail is blue and this one has red in it, so don't get confused by that. What you're looking for is an additional symbol on top of the thumbnail, which doesn't exist. That's how you know this is a raster layer. That's the first way of recognizing them. The second method is to edit it with one of the many tools that alter the image, like the brush or the eraser. By getting one from the left panel and hovering over our image, you can see we have complete freedom to paint or erase over it. If this wasn't a raster layer, we would have received an error from Photoshop telling us we need to rasterize the layer before we can modify it. And that's actually the main advantage of this layer type. Since it's pixel-based, it gladly accepts many modifications. This is the most versatile layer in Photoshop, and you can use most tools and filters on it with no pushback. The drawback of working with raster layers is they don't scale up well. Let me give you an example. We have a graphic on our canvas created with various tools, and now it's rasterized. Let's hit Ctrl-T and check out its dimensions, 225 by 227 pixels. This means roughly 50,000 pixels in total. If you want to enlarge this image, Photoshop must create more of these pixels based on a whole lot of proprietary magic. This produces blurry, fuzzy graphics. It's true that as Photoshop evolved, so did its algorithms, and we got better upsampling, meaning the creation of new pixels based on the existing ones, but the results still aren't fantastic. That's because the raster format doesn't hold on to any other information besides those pixels it contains. So if you take a brush and create 200 pixels with it, that's all Photoshop remembers. It takes nothing else into account based on which it can create more of the same pixels. What you put in is what you get out of it. This is why digital painters who use Photoshop are very specific about the size of their canvas. Once you get the ball rolling and you draw something, you can't enlarge just like that. You decide on a specific width and height from the start, and you roll with it until the end. So let me sum it up. Raster layers are the default layer type in Photoshop. They're versatile and give you lots of freedom. They have no particular symbol in the Layers panel, and their main drawback is they can't be enlarged without losing quality. Let's continue with vector layers in the next lecture. See you there.